Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Jen, Scrapbena Creations. I have a design team project for Not2Shabby shop and you can use coupon code JEN10 to save 10% off your purchase. So this is the card that I'm making today. I'm using the Darcy's Heart and Home The Bomb stamp set, and I'm using this cute little critter that is a beaver. We can talk about this a little bit more. The sentiment refers to it as an otter, but I'm Canadian and I know a beaver when I see one. This is definitely a beaver, so I think they made a little bit of a mistake. But this image is super cute nonetheless, and so I just brought in an older stamp set to create the card, which is fine. When you have these smaller stamp sets, it's often fun to bring in some other stamp sets that you have in your stash to go along with them, and to be able to create a card that you are happy with in the end. So I'm doing some coloring. I'm doing the body of the beaver a kind of light reddish brown. So I'm using E15, E13, and E11. And I'm going over this a few times, just trying to get the blending and the shading. I'm using Spectrum Noir Ultra Premium cardstock here. This is the cardstock I learned to color on, and so it's kind of my choice. I think you tend to get used to the paper that you use the most. So I've sort of stuck with this one throughout the years. I originally started coloring with Spectrum Noir markers, and you see me bring those in from time to time because I've only just started my copic collection and, you know, only have a few colors in each shade. So I decided to bring in the E00 just to lighten him up a little, especially around the nose and the mouth area. And then I'm just blending here with it as well. And then I decided to go back and darken it up just a tad. The thing is, when you have a lighter color down, you can add a little bit darker, and while that light color is still wet, it will continue to blend the markers for you. So here's this cute little guy. I'm going to do his nose, his belly, and his tail in some dark brown. So I'm using E29, E27, and E25 just to give him a little bit of definition and make him a little bit browner. I don't know. I liked the combination of the two, just so that there was a differentiation between the body and the other little pieces that I wanted to accent. I did end up bringing the E23 in at the top there, and then I decided that I wanted to darken him up just a little more in the body, so I'm using that E23. I'm going back with the original marker colors that I used, and that will just give his body a little bit more color to match the darker browns that I brought in. So this little guy ended up having a lot of layers on him. That's okay though. He was super cute and fun to color up, and the Darcy's images are typically pretty easy. They are usually larger in size and are very clean and simple in terms of their lines. So these are good stamps to start coloring with if you're new to card making and coloring. So here I'm going to start working on the tail now. You can see how much his belly has really kind of dried back and lightened. So I'm using the same colors here. And then I'm going to go back and do his belly again. The E29 and the E27 really dry back even without much blending. So you can see here, now that I'm doing another layer, it is really come along nicely. So for the popsicle, I'm going to use reds. I'm going to use R29, R24, and R22 because I thought this would be a fun Canada Day card as well. And our colors are red and white. So coloring his little popsicle with red, I'm going to do some detailing on his eyes with a black glaze pen, and then I will go back in and use some white glaze pen to do some kind of little highlights in his eyes. So I cut out a stitched circle And I'm using the MFT Mini Cloudy stencil. You've seen me use this before if you've watched my videos previously. I absolutely love this stencil. I would definitely recommend it as a must-have. So I believe I'm using tumbled glass here. It's either tumbled glass or broken china. I can't remember. I made this card yesterday, but I can't remember what color it was. But you probably saw it there when I had the lid on the screen. So I'm going down quite a bit because I didn't know how far I wanted the water to come up. So I'm almost going right down to the bottom just so that I can add the water die cut pieces on top and not have to worry. I did go around the edges there with the blue just to make that a little bit darker. And yeah, it was the tumbled glass. So I'm going to use Salty Ocean Mermaid Lagoon and Blueprint Sketch here for the water. I wanted it to be more like lake water where you would find a beaver, or pond water, as opposed to ocean water. So I'm using those colors, and I mean, you can use these colors for ocean water as well. I just thought the Blueprint Sketch would bring in a nice bright blue that would resemble lake water. So I used my Favorite Things wave border dies here to cut out these waves. I think it comes with a set of 4 or 5 different wave edges that you can cut out. And then I'm going to cut out these pieces with the same stitched circle. And those will go on the bottom of the panel that I completed with the clouds. So it is finally hot summer weather here up north in Canada. I'm in Eastern Canada. And so this card was really fun to do because with the warmer weather, it makes me think of the lake and cottages, and I'm such a summer person. So like I said, I had a lot of fun making this card. I'm just adding the layers here on top of each other, and I'm making sure not to put adhesive on the top of that second one. I'm bringing in the Avery Elle Would You stamp set, this little log I thought would be cute to have the beaver floating on. So kind of like he's floating away from a bunch of wood that he's made a dam with, and hence that will bring in the sentiment. So I'm just going to adhere him in place on some Scotch foam adhesive, and here's where I do the white detailing on his eyes. I just did 2 dots, the one on the top slightly bigger than the one on the bottom, gave him some detailing on his nose, and colored up his little tooth with the white gel pen as well. So then I'm just going to adhere this circle right on to the card base. I am going to do some stamping for the sentiment. Obviously, I'm doing a little bit of stamping construction here. So I've got some 3M post-it tape, and I masked that off so it just says have a. And then I'm going to use some Riley's ABC letters from Lawn Fawn with Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink, and I just created the word dam, like a beaver dam. And then I'll come back with the sentiment stamp that was in the stamp set, and it says have a cool summer. Now I was afraid that that top part was still a little bit wet, so I did go ahead and put some post-it paper back on that just so it didn't smudge any of the ink that was already on there. So the sentiment reads, have a damn cool summer, instead of have an utterly cool summer, given that this is most definitely a beaver. And of course the bottom sentiments didn't stamp out as well as I would have liked them, so I'm just using my Memento marker here, and I'm just filling that in, and it looks perfect. So I'm going to get that in place, and the card will be done. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing. I have lots of card tutorials as well as 10 card videos. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.